Morning, morning, morning. Monday, the start of another week. Can you believe we've only got 4 weeks left until the summer holidays? Can't believe I'm saying that. Time is flying. So I'm sure this week will fly just like the last one did. So it's Monday, we're going to start off with Spellbound. Then we're going to have a quick look at some tables practice, just see that you understand the exercises that are in your Intermath, and quick talk about discovery of the world. Okay, so for Spellbound this week we're on unit 32, which is in fact the last unit in the way they organise it. I think we've got at least one to go back on later, but it's the last one in their schedule. And we're back to commonly misspelled words, so words that people quite often get wrong, okay, which basically is a warning that they're going to be tricky ones this week. Okay, good luck. So box 1, we have nephew, amount, minute, answer. And I think we can all see what could be tricky there. Nephew, so we've got the PH in the middle making the F sound, phoneme. Nephew, do you remember a nephew? If you're a boy and you have an aunt or an uncle, you are their nephew, okay? Okay, so the nephew is the son of somebody's brother or sister. Okay, so I've got quite a few nephews. My brother has got 3 boys, so they're 3 of my nephews, and my husband's brothers and sisters, between them, have got 1, 2, another 3 boys. So that's another 3 nephews that I have on that side as well. Okay. For a girl version of that, you're a niece, but that's not on the list, even though that's also a tricky word. Okay, so nephew has to be a boy. Amount, just make sure you start that with an A. That could be tricky. Minute, difficult because of that U. It sounds like there would be an I for the last syllable, but no, it's a U, as you can see. And answer, obviously we've got a silent letter there, haven't we? What letter is silent in answer? Yeah, a W. When we write it down, there's a W. Okay, box 2, enough, double, guessed, biscuit. So enough, it's tricky because we've got an OU in the middle, but we've also got a GH at the end making the F sound. You've got enough of something. Double, that's probably not the trickiest of them. Remember, it's LE at the end making that UL sound, which we've come across before. Guest, so somebody that you invite to your home, for instance, or to your party, is your guest with a silent U, G-U-E-S-T. So it looks a bit like guest, but we just say guest. Okay, and when it's got a T on the end, it's the person who's invited. It's not the same as I guessed the answer. That's spelled differently. Okay, and then biscuit, again, we've got a silent U. 3rd letter from the end, you can see there. So it looks a bit like biscuit when you write it down, doesn't it? But we say biscuit. Okay, that spelling is taken from French. It's copied from French, but pronounced in a different way, so it makes the spelling tricky. Okay, then box 3, piece, and that says as a portion of something. Okay, a piece of cake, a portion of cake. P-I-E, and then we've got C, making the S sound there. Lovely, just make sure that you've got all of love, L-O-V-E, before you put the li, the suffix li on the end. Potato, see, to me that's not tricky, but it could be for some people, particularly with you if you speak Italian at home, you might be tempted to do potato because of patata. Potato when you write it in English. Think about cooking the potatoes in the pot, okay, potato. And then sense, so it could be to have good sense, common sense, or your sense of sight, your sense of hearing, those kind of senses, only with an S. S at the beginning, an S, 2nd letter from the end. Surprise for box 4, surprise, already, license, attack. So surprise, I guess they're thinking you might forget the first R. You might write surprise, but it's surprise, the way you've written it down. Okay, the way you write it down. 2 R's. Already, remember just the one L in already. Okay, whenever all, AL, is either at the beginning or at the very end of a word, it's just only with the one L. Okay, even though when we write all on its own, it's a double L. When it's part of a word, it's one L. Okay, in these cases anyway. Attack, don't forget your double T and a CK at the end to attack something. And license, do you know what a license is? Yeah, it's like a special qualification or a certificate which allows you to do something by law. So in order to drive a car, I have to have a driving license. I have to do a special test and then get the certificate at the end, which allows me to drive. Okay, a license. And that's with 2 C's. I forever having to check that word. I'm always wanting to put an S in it, but it hasn't got an S in it. Licence. Okay, so they're really, really tricky. Good luck with those this week. So all the normal kind of exercises. I can't see that there's anything particularly different, all the same kind of thing, and maybe some of the difficult clues we've actually mentioned when we've just discussed these here. Anything tricky there, so hopefully you'll be fine with those. If you're struggling on the crossword, listen back to what we've just said about the meanings of the words and you might get some clues there. Okay, right, for your maths for today, it's a page from your Intermath book and it's practicing your times tables. We've done all of the times tables now up to the 10 times table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so that page has got exercises which deal with all different types of tables, not just the 9s or just the 3s, for instance, but a whole mixture. Just so that you can understand what to do, I've put, and I realise looking at the screen they look a bit scruffy, but they should do the job, a couple of examples on. So question 1 is like your times table targets. You're used to those, you know what to do with the missing numbers in those. Question 2, I think this was the first one, but it's obviously printed a lot more tidily and didn't have that scribbling out. But hopefully you can see what you've got to do. So it tells you 4, and then I follow that arrow. There's an arrow there. 4 times 8, and I've got to put the answer in there to 4 times 8, or 8 times 4. What's that? 4 times 8. If I'm struggling with my 8s, but I'm good at my 4s, let's flip it over. 4 times 8, 8 times 4. Yep, 32. Okay, and then just to double check it, 32 divided by 8, because now I'm following my arrow that way. 32 divided by 8 is 4, isn't it? Okay, so this is a bit like the numbers families set out in a different way, just reminding us that if we multiply something or 2 numbers together to get our multiple, our big answer, we take the big number and divide it back again and we end up where we started from. Okay, it's just another way of setting out the number families. So you've got a few of those to do. And then question 3, I think this might be the middle one of question 3. So you've got some missing, well in this one, the missing numbers are on this side. Depending on the example that you're doing, there could be missing numbers in different places, okay? But I've had a look at this one. So we've got a number here, and if we multiply it by something, we will get 24. Okay, now that kind of looks, could be various answers to that, but let's just see. Something else multiplied by the same number, this has got to be the same number up here, will give us 30. Another one multiplied by that same number will give us 42, and so on and so on. Now, we're multiplying numbers by the same thing and getting these answers, getting these multiples. Do you recognise what times table all those answers are in? Yeah, they're all answers, 24, 30, 42, 54, 48. They are all answers in the 6 times table. Okay, so you can multiply a particular number by 6 and be able to get those answers. Okay, and to be honest, I kind of have a hand over the clue here as well. If you work backwards again, like we did here, you divide that number by 6, you're going to get a full number answer. You can divide that by 6, you can divide that by 6, and so forth. Okay, so this is similar to this one, it's just that you've got a whole strip of starters and a whole strip of answers. So what would we multiply by 6 to get 24? In other words, 24 divided by 6, yeah, is 4, isn't it? Okay, so again, you can use that as a double checker. 4 multiplied by 6 is 24. Similarly, if I take that number, which is on this side, and follow my arrow back, 24 divided by 6 is 4. What multiplied by 6 is 30? Should be good at that. Yeah, 5. So 5 times 6 is 30. There's the second ones. And I can check it back. 30 divided by 6 gives me that 5. Okay, so this missing part will go with the 42. This missing part will go with the 54. And this missing part will go with the 48. Okay? So I'm not going to do any more because it's your work, it's your job. You should be good at that. You're smashing with your times tables. Okay? Any problems, remember, you can do a check-in with me at 1:30 and ask me anything that you're struggling with. Absolutely no problem. Okay? Or send me a message on the chat. What else? My L1 English children, we're going to be meeting today, so we don't need to talk about that now, but we can talk about it then at 12:30. And then for Discovery of the World this week, we've started our topic about plants and growing. Okay, so we're going to continue with that. And one of the things that you're going to be looking at tomorrow is a little PowerPoint which probably tells you for the first time, I don't know if you already know these things, exactly what the job is of a root of a plant. Why does a plant have a root? Oh, somebody's already telling me. Ah. Why does a plant have a stem? What's its job? What's it there for? Okay. And why does a plant have leaves? Okay. So they're 3 of the questions for this week. And one thing, I'm going to just set up a little experiment here. I've got some water in a glass. That's probably got too much. Let me drink some. It is clean. Yeah, that's probably better. Excuse me, a bit better. And I'm going to put, these are my carnation flowers, which I've just rescued from the garden. It's blowing a gale outside and pouring with rain. So these are the only ones I could rescue. And I'm going to put them in the water. Okay, so you can see the stems are in the water. The petals of the flowers are not touching the water. Okay, some of the leaves are in and some of the leaves are out. Okay, but most importantly, the stems are in the water. Right, I am going to put them back in again in a second, but I'm just going to take that out. And what I'm going to do now, hopefully without making a mess, is I'm going to put some black, because it's a strong colour, strong shade, some black food colouring in the water to turn the water black. This food colouring really stains. I've got to be very careful with it. Let's see if that's enough. Oh yeah, that's plenty. Right, okay, so I've put a little bit in there. Oops, just splashed something. Mr. Heyman's work computer splashed all my black colour in. Oops, get that out gently. Okay, put that down. So I've got black water now, and I'm going to put the carnation flowers. Then the root is not attached. Okay, I cut the stems, so there's no root there, as you can see. So the stems and a couple of the leaves are going in, but there is no contact between the petals, the flowers, and the water. Okay, so that's just black coloured water in with my carnations in there. Okay, when we see each other on Wednesday's meeting for Maths and Discovery of the World, we're going to have a look at this and see what's happened. So I'm just going to put that down, hopefully safely, and leave that for a couple of days, and we'll have a look at it. Oh, got black fingers. Have a look at it in a couple of days and see what's happened. Okay, because that will hopefully be an experiment which helps us understand a little bit more about the function, the job of the stem. I bet some of you can already guess what's going to happen. We'll talk about it then, okay? And then on Wednesday's meeting, we're going to try and get ourselves, I'm going to try and help you get organised into little groups, and we're going to organise some planting experiments, okay? Fingers crossed that will work. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday. You might have already seen that on your assignments, okay? But by Wednesday, we'll talk about it. Hopefully, you've got some bean seeds. In fact, you only really need one at home. If you haven't and you're unable to get any such seeds by Wednesday, don't panic, because I'm sure there'll be enough of you that we'll have something that we can kind of share by telling each other and showing each other what's happening. Okay, so no panic. So that's that really. That's to get our week started. So L1 English children, I shall see you a little bit later. And rest of you, I'll have your next video tomorrow morning. Okay, bye.